Devon Larratt's performance relies on a combination of his training, use of stem cells, and other factors, including performance-enhancing drugs. However, despite his preparation, this approach wasn't enough against Levon. It seemed logical at the time, especially considering Levon's injuries, that Devon might be able to stop him. In hindsight, training specifically for back pressure and side pressure would likely have been more effective in preparing for such a match. One strategy to deal with Devon's back pressure involves getting into the referee's grip, where both athletes are restricted from moving. During this setup, when Devon preloads, you must preload as well. Devon will then exert maximum effort to pull you back. At this moment, suddenly stop your load and slightly push forward. This creates the impression that Devon is excessively pulling. At this point, you need to draw attention to his actions by loudly shouting, "WTF, he's pulling me! What are you doing?" This approach forces even biased judges to issue Devon a warning or a foul. Repeating this strategy can pressure him into adjusting his style, especially if fouls accumulate. Devon's training advice isn't necessarily bad, but his style is unique and doesn't align with what works for everyone. He already possesses a strong foundation and has developed his approach over years of competition. Additionally, he often incorporates elements of trolling and doesn't reveal all of his training methods. For example, he has mentioned training triceps for Hermes specifically, and some of his older videos, such as those with Jujimufu, showcase more of his routine. Back pressure in arm wrestling depends on multiple factors. It is not limited to pronation. Sometimes it is limited by the riser, the cup, or simply by the raw strength of back pressure. Real-life back pressure also involves both lateral drag and elbow flexion. Many athletes, particularly those with strong lat drag, underestimate the importance of elbow flexors. While pull-ups and chin-ups target elbow flexors to some extent, they are insufficient for arm wrestling. Without adequate flexion and pronation strength, your back pressure will fail, and your arm will open up into a palm-up position, which is highly disadvantageous. To train this, a weighted strap around the thumb can effectively target elbow flexion and pronation, improving overall back pressure. When discussing back pressure, many people misunderstand what it entails. It is rarely about back muscle strength alone. On the arm wrestling table, pulling toward your back typically relies on arm muscles rather than the back itself. Strengthening these specific arm muscles is essential for maximizing back pressure. For bicep isolation, hammer curls are a useful exercise. However, compound movements are often more efficient for arm wrestling. Pronation-based bicep curls and riser-based hammer curls are valuable for testing smaller muscles while still working the biceps. These exercises are effective for developing the components of back pressure. Levon's approach against Devon highlights the limitations of relying solely on back pressure. After Devon cracked Levon's wrist, Levon avoided attempting a top roll and instead waited for Devon's arm angle to open. Levon then transitioned into a press at the perfect moment, which fatigued Devon's arm to the point where he couldn't maintain a strong angle in subsequent rounds. Devon's back pressure training, including his pronation-based lifts, is designed to simulate arm wrestling pressures. These lifts help identify weaknesses in pronation and back pressure and tie directly into table performance. For example, in his pronation lifts, using the correct thumb wrap ensures that the pronator muscle becomes the primary focus. This isolates the pronator against larger muscle chains, emphasizing its role in back pressure. To improve back pressure overall, it is crucial to train lateral drag, elbow flexion, and pronation as separate but interconnected components. Devon's methods demonstrate how each of these factors contributes to effective pulling on the table. His unique style and techniques, while not universally applicable, offer insights into the mechanics of back pressure in arm wrestling.